The results were out and a lot of you got emails about some of the result issues, and I think a couple of technical errors in quiz. Sorry. And a lot of you had to write to us, which kept me busy all day. But it was quite exciting to see that a lot of people are reading emails immediately and replying back to us with any action items. So that just reassured me that, okay, people are quite engaged with the challenge even after 1 month. That is almost 30 days of intensive quizzing and a lot of resources, almost 100 plus resources. I think you guys have taken a look at through our websites, through our different um, outlets, social media channels, YouTube handle. And I know that the quizzes have been quite exciting for a lot of you as you've written to us in the past 1 month. And on Slack, you guys have been DMing me in the Slack ISPIC phase 1 channel. I think a lot of you are talking with each other at the back end. We can see that a lot of messages are being exchanged within the community between candidates. So I'm hoping that quite a lot of you have been, looking forward to teaming up with certain people over the past 1 month, looking for certain people. Maybe your ideas are being shaped now that you want to choose track 1 versus track 2. Some of you are still confused, have questions about it. We'll address all of this and the next steps and what the matchmaking week really entails. So this has been quite clear from the very start, right? That there's going to be a matchmaking week. You enter as individuals in the challenge. You take 1 month journey of basically understanding everything there is about the smart protein sector, and then you form teams. And once you form the team, you basically enter into track 2 and you carry on your journey for the rest of your time with ISPIC 2021 as a team. So having said that, let me quickly share my screen and pull up the presentation that we are going to see today. So I'm just going to repeat a little bit from last time around, and then we'll take questions towards the end. Yeah. So this is my presentation. Devika, can you confirm if you're able to see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Perfect, great. So as you know, this is the Matchmaking Week introductory webinar. We'll be sharing the recording, but thank you for joining. Who've joined us today. Almost 120 odd people would be there, I guess, today. Some of you couldn't make it on such a short notice, but rest assured, for the schedule of phase 2, we have pre-planned a lot of sessions and we'll be giving you the entire schedule and dates 1 month in advance when the phase 2 starts. As you know, phase 2 was scheduled to start on 1st of November. We've shifted it ahead by a couple of days, and we have shared the schedule, updated schedule with you in your emails as well. The matchmaking week will now start on Monday, which is the 25th, because of some of the delays on the results front. Having said that, as you know, there's track 1 innovation. The important criteria here is the age limit, which is quite important to consider, 35 years of age. So if you're over 35, you knew while signing up for the challenge that you'll have to choose track 2 or leave the challenge after phase 1. So that's quite important to consider for some of the relatively experienced candidates we have in our cohort to keep in mind. So everybody who's interested in scientific, theoretical innovation, etc., one of the 15 RFPs, I hope that you've seen the webinar recording from last time. If not, we'll skim through it today. You'll basically be choosing track 1 because that's a common recurring question. Which track should I choose? So just take a look at the website, take a look at all the sessions we've done till now. We've covered this information time and again, what kind of people should be choosing track 1 versus track 2, right? These sessions and recordings are all provided to you, and I'll show you where. It's basically provided in your schedule for phase 1. The registration and the recording link for each of the webinar conducted till now. Having said that, the track 2 for entrepreneurship is for entrepreneurs, existing startup, potential entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs who might want to start a company, maybe relatively down the line, business professionals, marketing professionals, industry professionals who are not necessarily looking to just solve a scientific kind of a problem statement or RFP, right? Maybe you come with a different skill set and you want to start a company, or maybe later want to work in a startup, maybe want to be part of a co-founding team, maybe as part of the challenge, maybe your team ends up starting a company later on. ProMeet is a good example. It's ProMeet, C-Spire, Naya Milk, a lot of these teams from last year. They've been doing quite well in terms of doing a lot of innovation in different areas of plant-based meat, eggs, dairy, and plant-based ingredients. So take a look at last year's demo day if you want to understand what track 2 might look like, because last year's challenge and the demo day, etc., was more from a company or commercial venture starting perspective. So track 2 entrepreneurship is a good example of that. This time on demo day, track 1 demo day would look quite different from last year's demo day. So that's quite important to understand as well. Having said that, phase one, phase two, here we are in the matchmaking week. Currently, 318 candidates as per the latest results have qualified for phase two, which means that 318 candidates. Again, within that, people will choose track one and track two, and based on that, you will see who's available, etc., based on the technology area you choose, etc. And we'll get to that in the matchmaking platform demo as well today. Having said that, all this information, again, this challenge once again is possible because of all our excellent partners and sponsors for the challenge. Title sponsor Capri Global, key sponsors NICE and Alchem Foundation, and organizing partner CICO at IIM Ahmedabad. A lot of excellent academic and research supporting partners, and a lot of commercial VC ecosystem builders and investor sector building organizations in the smart protein ecosystem partners kind of category as well for ISPIC 2021, which is a unique opportunity in the smart protein sector, as you all know. And firstly, a big congratulations to all of you who've made it. Some of you who are attending today but are not sure if they've made it, please check the final email I've sent regarding the results. So almost 318 candidates have scored above 50%, which is the new cutoff. Earlier it was 60%. But we figured with some of the issues with the quizzes, we'll just reduce it a little bit so that relatively more candidates are certified and are able to participate in the next rounds of ISPIC 2021. This is the last time's presentation. We covered the entire supply chain. We told about what is the whole hypothesis behind thinking about this RFPs and white space opportunity areas for track one and track two respectively, and how we are going on about that. And basically, we also covered track one fermentation problem statements. Akshay did an excellent overview of all of the RFPs and fermentation for track one. I'm not going to cover all of those, but these are some of the RFPs you're seeing on the screen for fermentation track one. Now, at this stage, what you should be ready with is a choice, whether you're going for track one or track two as an individual, and which technology area you're going for, plant-based, fermentation, or cultivated. Those are the two choices you need to make between today and Monday, because once the matchmaking week starts, you'll create a profile and you won't be able to change these things. We'll cover that again later, so hold on. And then there's track two for fermentation. And, we covered the value chain of what currently are the areas of innovation or white space opportunity areas. And then similarly, we did that for track one for cultivated technology area. The 5 RFPs that we have: bioreactor and process design, cell line development, etc. And then we also did something similar in terms of a value chain opportunity areas, white space opportunity areas for track two, right? And you'll be choosing one of these. Your team will be choosing one of these, right? Across all of them, whatever you're seeing on the screen, you just have to choose one and, excel at it. That's what you need to do. You cannot do multiple things. You just have to choose one. I think this has been clear, but we got some questions through the registration form, so I'm just stressing on it again. These are the RFPs for plant-based, for track one, to eggs, seafood, and then ingredients, indigenous crops for meat, eggs, and dairy applications. So there are 6, 5, and 6, right? And we also talked a lot in all of these about recommended skill sets, how you should be forming the teams from different angles, everywhere. Akshay also took time in the last webinar. So that's why it was a mandatory webinar. It's on YouTube. Unrestricted link is already shared with all of you. Make sure that you've gone through that webinar at length, because that will really help you kind of understand which track to go for, which RFP to go for, etc. Then there's track 2 in plant-based for entrepreneurship. Again, there are some white space opportunity areas across the value chain, right from crop to ingredient to B2B, B2C ventures, texturization, egg, milk, again, for business and marketing kind of side of things. If you're there's Urban Platter, there's Weekend Dukaan, there are a bunch of other platforms coming in, D2C kind of channels being set up. I recently heard that Amazon's going to launch Blue Tribe Foods at a ridiculously low price, like 11 rupees or something. Varun was telling us earlier today. So you should probably go and check it out, because usually these are expensive, but Amazon Fresh is giving them some sort of an exclusive deal so that they can market it better. So stuff like that. Just an example, hypothetical example, but stuff like that will fall into these expanding into additional channels, etc. categories, and maybe there's something innovative in one of your minds. There are a lot of people from management and business schools as well who can consider those kind of RFPs in track 2. So that's our general recommendations. Now let's come on to the matchmaking platform, right? I shared earlier this screenshot in the Slack channel. This is a matchmaking platform. We'll do a live demo The current one we have is a demo version. It's being because we don't have the final list, right? We just sent that email out. Once we know who are the final 318 or 320 or something like that candidates who are going into phase 2, will basically add you from the backend so that you can access this platform and send you more details along with a detailed guide for all of this. So we'll do a demo as well later, but this is the platform now which you'll be using for the next 7-8 days before you again go back to the Mercer Metal platform. Just like the phase 1, you'll have phase 2 again, the same thing. You'll have to register again, just like you did as individuals. When the challenge started, there'll be a registration form for teams though this time, and there'll be a primary member who will be responsible for adding the rest of the team members, etc., etc. There's a lot of coherent steps between the matchmaking data because it has to match with what you register, right? You just cannot add anybody randomly afterwards. Or people, we have to filter out for people who've qualified for phase 2. We have to filter for the validation of data that you have submitted on the matchmaking platform, which is followed by a specific logic. So we'll cover all of that. We'll give you specific details in a matchmaking guide as well. But for now, for the sake of simplicity, you have to understand that when you register, right? I have the data of 318 candidates now. Now, basically, you're participating in the matchmaking week. Let's say out of them, some people drop off, say 20, 30, 40 people drop off, right? 280, 290 people basically decide to carry on with their journey for track 2. What they'll do is come on this matchmaking platform and choose one of the 2 events, which is track 1 and track 2, right? And basically you, candidate, picking track 1 as their preferred track, will be unable to view candidates picking track 2 as their preferred track. So when you're registered, for the sake of simplicity, let's just say out of 300, 150 go for track 1, 150 go for track 2. So track 1 people will be only able to see those 150 candidates, but not all 150 candidates, because once you choose a track, by the way, it's compulsory, right? And you won't be able to change it later on at any stage. So make sure when you're completing your profile in the matchmaking tool that you're choosing very, very carefully which track, and all those notes, etc., are mentioned on the platform as well. So you won't have to worry what's what. Then again, once you choose the track, you'll be able to choose a technology area, plant-based cultivation or fermentation. You'll only have to choose one, right? You cannot choose multiple. So once you've chosen a track and once you've chosen a technology area, you get bucketed in a specific, pool of applicants who are interested in that specific kind of a technology area and a track. So track 2 people who are interested in cultivated technology area will only see people who are interested in track 2 cultivated, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Then there's a further bifurcation there. Like, just like tags can be added to profiles, we'll basically give you an option to say, if you choose plant-based, which of these, end product areas and focus areas are you interested in, right? And you'll basically choose a maximum of 3. Why we are not letting you choose everything? Because then it does not make sense, right? If you've chosen plant-based meat, you have to focus on maybe 2 or 3 because you're still forming the team. Once you form the team, you'll only have to further narrow it down to 1 on the Mercer Metal platform, right? So there's going to be conditional logic depending on what you pick. Plant-based, fermentation, cultivated, you'll see these options. You'll pick 3, and then basically all of these would be able to be seen for people who've chosen, say, I've chosen track 1, plant-based, right? I'll be able to see everybody who's picked these categories. And then within those, I'll be able to form a team based on my areas of interest. And based on that, I'll register my team on the Mercer Metal platform. So points to note, technology area and then product focus will be the filter categories in your profile, and candidates will be able to discover preferences of other candidates within the same track, that is track 1 or track 2. Technology area is also final, so further bifurcation. And then end product focus category, these things are currently indicator for the next 1 week. But before you register, before the phase 2 starts and you register on the Mercer Metal platform, you'll have to choose a specific RFP. And I'll show you how it will look like in your registration form. Okay, so final end product focus category will be locked in on and finally confirmed before you register for phase 2, like I was saying. So this is how it would look like when you come as a team on the Mercer Metal platform and register. This is what you'll see. Basically, you'll be able to choose one specific one, and that will be set to your basically profile for the next 1 month, and you'll have to only innovate in that, right? That's why we shared a few days ago the RFPs, the recording, so that you have some time to think about it after spending 1 month thinking about all of these 3 technology areas and multiple areas of innovation, etc., etc. Maybe you already pre-decided before you came into the challenge that I want to do this specifically. I want to work on plant-based X. I want to work on bioreactor design. That's great. I hope you find relevant people in the matchmaking process as well to team up with. And again, one key point to keep in mind is minimum 2 and maximum 3 team members in a team for track 1, and minimum 2, maximum 4 team members for track 2, right? Those are the rules. So you can form a team of 2 in both cases, but as an individual, you cannot basically participate and proceed in the challenge. So you have to form a team. There'll be rare cases. It usually, kind of works out because there's 4 and 3, so, odd and even. So there's no one single person left out usually at the end, but because there are so many buckets, there might be people who are left out at the end. So basically then you'll have an option, and we'll figure that on a case-to-case basis of can you join an extra team, etc., something like that. But that's only in the case you are left out at the end, and basically all the other teams are formed for whatever XYZ reason. Yeah, so these are the problem statements again that you'll be able to choose. I was just showing you some screenshots, for track 2, track 1, and accordingly based on the drop down menus that you choose, you'll get all of these details. And with the same registration details that you've chosen on the matchmaking platform, you'll register on this exact same team, exact same email IDs. So you cannot say that we've created a team of 3 on the matchmaking platform and then we have that data at the back end, right? You cannot just add anybody randomly who has not taken participation in phase 1, who's not qualified phase 1, or maybe from other team, they were on the matchmaking platform and now they're joining as part of your team. That data will bring into an error and will lead to an immediate disqualification of the entire team. So be careful in the matchmaking process. We'll again send all of these details in a detailed matchmaking guide. So you'll have everything handy to refer to before doing all of these things. Okay, so that's the webinar. Now let's quickly show you some of the things on the platform end. So this is the matchmaking platform, as I was saying. This is the demo version, right? But as the live matchmaking tool will be hosted on the smartproteinchallenge.in website. So we'll share all the login details, etc. Your email would be a registered email ID. All the candidates who've qualified will provide the data at the back end. Our technical partners would pre-feed that data, and only you'll be able to access. You'll get an email with a specific password, which will be unique to you so that you can log in. After logging in, you can change it. But let me show a demo account to you for now. So at the first instance, when you log in, all of this will be empty. You'll have to put your name. So obviously this is a dummy account for me. So I've put in like this, but you'll have to put your name exactly as it was on the platform. There are some changes being made, notes being added to this. So this will be all updated in the final version on Monday, which we'll share with you along with the matchmaking guide, something like this. This is a matchmaking guide from last year, but basically all of the screenshots and exact kind of instructions on how to create a team, how to send a request, all of that would be given to you in a matchmaking guide for this year as well. So don't worry about that. Basically here your email ID would be pre-feed, your marks would be pre-feed here based on the data we provide. And then, you'll be able to choose at the first instance. So I have, for example, chosen track 2 and plant-based because I'm interested in starting a venture in plant-based category, maybe down the line, right? So I've chosen those 2. Once I choose these 2, I'm able to choose 3, end product focus category areas. We were discussing this earlier, right? A maximum of 3. Basically, I'll be able to choose those. So let's just say, oopsie. Sorry for that. So basically, I'll be able to choose my profile picture, and all of these details are mandatory. So you'll be basically uploading all this. And then I'll be just dropping some sort of a summary of what kind of things I want to work on. And it's limited to 200 words. So it has to be short and sweet. It does not have to be too revealing in the sense that other teams or other people might see it and, get inspired from your idea. If you feel that yours is a very unique one, tone it down. You don't have to mention anything too specific, anything which is giving away IP. It's just a summary of your idea so that other people can understand what you're all about and what areas you're interested in. So based on all of this information, I'll submit this. Maybe I want to change the password from the default password. I can do that and I submit it, right? And once that happens, I can access my dashboard. Now, for example, in this demo account, only one other person had chosen track 2 plant-based, right? That's why I'm able to see only one account here. And then basically I can create my own team. I can go in here. I can basically, just copy whoever I have So firstly, don't directly add them. There's LinkedIn link, all of these social media details that you can add on your profile so that other people can take a look at all of this. They can know about your description and product area, technology area, etc., etc. Once you click on this, the whole thing opens up. So you'll be able to see the whole thing. And then basically, once I've confirmed offline, maybe on Slack or maybe whatever, LinkedIn, Facebook, however they prefer to connect with you, once you've confirmed that they want to participate in your team, you copy the email ID, you go to my team, you click in here, and then you submit your request, right? And then that request basically comes into sent request. Now in Rahul's account, if he accepts the request, basically it will show green. If he rejects the request, it will show red, right? And basically you can only send 3 requests because of this will be 4 requests for track 2. For track 1, it will be maximum of 3 requests because maximum of 2 requests and maximum of 3 requests because maximum size is 3 and 4 respectively for track 1 and track 2. So once you send all of the requests, your account won't be able to send more requests. You can choose your team name, etc., etc. Now, what if multiple people, ABC, right? There are 3 candidates who eventually end up partnering together, but they all create teams. So once you join somebody else's team, your team gets dissolved by default. So you don't have to worry about that. You can still create a team and try to invite other people. But I'll say just wait on, talk to people, make sure who those 3-4 people are, and then assign a primary member, which will be the guidance provided to you in the matchmaking guide, and they'll be responsible for creating the guide, adding the rest of the 3 people, and that exact team formation you'll have to register on the matchmaking on the Mercer Metal phase 2 platform. Yeah, so this is what it looks like. You have your profile, you have a dashboard where you can see everybody else. So for example, you can see who's blocked. Currently, if there are people who are blocked, you'll be able to see that they are already part of some team. All the team names will appear here. And you'll basically also be able to see open candidates and then accordingly make a decision on who's available, who's not for forming teams with you, right? And again, based on their platform, based on what they're saying about their areas of interest and their background, maybe you'll be also able to see basically more about their background and experiences. Okay, having said that, this is the matchmaking tool, and it's quite simple actually. Once you follow the instructions, it's quite a simple process. You come here, you form a team for basically this duration. So 25th we start, and by 29th you have formed your teams. And after that, you can still form your team till the 2nd of November. But by 29th, we'll start recommending everybody to finalize their teams and go on the phase 2 tool and basically start registering their teams so that we can start from 3rd of November with phase 2. And I know it's right before Diwali, so the first few days are relatively less engaging. You just have to attend the Smart Protein Summit, which is going to be mandatory for all phase 2 participants because it's going to be quite an exciting event with a lot of exciting sessions, panels, roundtables, excellent speakers coming on board. You can take a look at smartproteinsummit.com last year. So all the participants have received an email about it with the results. So do register as soon as you can. And basically everybody will have to register in phase 2. Basically, you'll be attending all of the sessions, and those 3 days, 10th, 11th, 12th of November are going to be quite engaging. And after that, there's still some more time for you to work on your proposals. Again, for phase 2, we'll be sending a separate email with all the details, right? How you're exactly making the 5-page proposal, font size, all of that. So don't worry about it. Just focus on the matchmaking week for now and the instructions we're giving about matchmaking week. Once you do that, you'll have some time till the second week of November, 16th of November, to focus on your proposals. And then again, our inspiration webinar series would start. We'll have 4 or 5 sessions per technology area, but everybody would be able to attend, sessions for other technology areas, even if they have not chosen it. It's kind of open to all in phase 2. We'll further let you know which ones are more important for track 1 and track 2, so you can decide accordingly. We'll have 10, 15 sessions in phase 2 in terms of live webinars and Q&A sessions with experts and industry mentors. And researchers and scientists and entrepreneurs, all of that. And then basically in phase 3, there's going to be some time to evaluate your proposals, all of that, depending. So I'm imagining anywhere between 80 to 100 proposals will get from 300 odd candidates, right, across technology area 1 and 2. Depends how many people make a team of 2, how many people make a team of 3. But once you've gone through this matchmaking week, we'll know exactly how many technology area, how many people are falling in that bucket, right? So we'll be able to plan better about these sessions, the content of these sessions, the speakers in these sessions. We currently have a tentative plan for phase 3 and phase 4 ready, but basically based on the data we get from the matchmaking week, we'll be able to better tailor the sessions that are upcoming for all of you in ISPIC 2021. So that's that on the timeline front. This is the matchmaking tool. I'll be sending everything with the guide and login details to all of you so that you can all kind of access this and get started from Monday or latest by Tuesday early morning. Yeah, so that's that for today's session from our end. Now I think we can take the, thank you Devika for sharing the links for the previous webinar, which everybody should watch, the demo day video, and also register for the Smart Protein Summit. So that's that. Akshay, anything to add here?
Yeah, thanks, Shardul. I don't have anything specific to add, but yeah, obviously, I think matchmaking is something which is easier said than done. So probably I think participants should focus on their strengths and leverage on their strengths, and also be a little bit more aware about their weaknesses, and form teams about uh, thinking about how does their team, like members of 2 or 3, whatever it is, how do they complement each other, so that you don't have overlap of, let's say, your expertise and your background. And that will give you a much better chance in terms of coming up with a proposal, and just moving into phase, let's say phase 3, phase 4, and ultimately pitching your proposal across track 1 and track 2. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything much more specific to add here. Thanks, Raghu.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you so much, Akshay, for adding that. Basically, just kind of expanding on what Akshay said. Some of the queries that we got is, how do we go on about this, right? Maybe you already know, then your tension's over, right? You already know who's the other person, or who are the 2 people or 3 people that you're partnering up with. But if you don't, now is a good time, right? Revisit that thread. The other thing, which thread? Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is the ISPIC channel, and you already know the Slack community channel. Everybody is added here in this one currently, right? All 753 people who started out with the challenge are all added here, 750 odd people. And there's basically a thread here where a lot of notifications we keep getting, right? People are introducing themselves, they're talking about their backgrounds. So I think it's in pin messages. Let me open it up for you. This is the introductions thread, where you can see what other people were saying, etc., etc. If you've not still done this, please introduce yourself on this thread so that other people can know about your background, your experiences, etc., etc. And then basically, you just go in here and you add a reply in this specific thread. There are currently 69 responses. But again, this is just something to help you along with the matchmaking information that will be given to you, because this is a less efficient process, right? You currently don't know who's interested in the specific technology area or track that you're interested in. So that's why the specific platform we had to create for matchmaking. Otherwise, we could have just paired people up on Excel sheet, or just told people that this is the list of 319 candidates. Just figure out, who's the best fit for you, and then register as teams of 3. And anybody who registers in 2 teams will disqualify them. That would have been the easy thing for us to do. But we went out of our way to build this matchmaking tool so that it becomes simple for you in terms of understanding who the best fit might be for your team, right? And in here, basically, we are creating another channel now so that everybody who's currently qualified for matchmaking week is added in here, right? And basically we'll pin the link of the introductory thread here as well. And then there'll be some instructions here, pin messages here for you to understand. And then Devika and I'll get you added in here. So all the 319 people have a specific channel to talk about matchmaking week, to ask any questions about matchmaking week, etc., etc. After this is done on 2nd of November, you'll all be added to phase 2. ISPIC 2021 channel. So let's see, out of 319, how many people basically decide to go on and continue this journey in phase 2 as well. Hopefully a large number of you, because this time we've seen a lot of quality applicants, a lot of good quiz scores across, and a lot of good questions coming in from this cohort. So we are quite happy with the 319 people and the kind of dedication and engagement they've shown till now with the challenge. So we hope maximum of you can register and participate in phase 2 as well and give this challenge a shot. Yeah, so that's on the matchmaking tool. And that's on the Slack community for helping with the matchmaking tool. Okay, there are some questions here. What if we don't have any partner? So Setu, I was telling you earlier, basically what we are trying to do here is enable this for you now. And I think after this, you'll have to make some attempts to connect with people over the next few days and kind of just figure out who's available. You'll be surprised how many good teams were formed last year without any connections, right? I spent a lot of time with the demo day teams and a lot of them found people through the matchmaking process. They had no clue who they're going to choose before coming into the challenge, right? So all of these things like Naya Milk, couple of people, like one was technical, one was entrepreneur, they paired up with each other and they complemented each other's skill sets quite well. They had a third food scientist on board from some other city. So that's what we are trying to enable here. We've already given you the recommended skill sets. Maybe you're an entrepreneur, you want a scientist, maybe you're a scientist, you want another scientist for solving a specific RFP. Maybe, you're a food technologist interested in bioprocessing. So you need somebody with that kind of a background with biotechnology, chemical engineering to pair up with as a team to solve that specific RFP. So that's the kind of thinking you'll have to kind of do. And that's how you choose the team, right? There are many do's and don'ts, but obviously the good thing is, it's not necessary that more is merrier. So you don't have to go for maximum. You can always go for 2. And sometimes that's an easier thing. That's your personal preference. So there's no recommendation there. Even the recommended skill sets are recommended. So it does not matter, right? You could be just a food scientist, or you could be somebody with a marketing background, but deeply interested, right, in understanding how fermentation works and how can we apply fermentation, say in seafood or something to that tune. Maybe if you've thought that ahead after 1 month of the challenge, then go for it, right? And find somebody who can perhaps complement you better in terms of the team. So that's all on you, on what you want to do and what you've learned till now. So that's my answer for that question. Okay, about quizzes, right? So just to clarify what I've said in the email, I've tried to be extremely clear in that email, but basically for quiz 8, there was a simple error. Somebody at the backend team of Mercer Metal in the ops team just skipped a row, and then all the results for quiz 8 were wrong in the first email, but they are all updated. And I think nobody should have an issue in quiz 8 results. For quiz 7 results, there were 67 people who took a wrong quiz. That's why the leaderboard is not working now, right? And those 67 people were sent reminder emails to take a new quiz. Now, obviously, somebody might have thought that I've already taken a quiz. They might not have seen the next email, which is why, who could not do that have been given 50% marks on an average. But there are a lot of people who retook the quiz, right? So not to take anything away from them because they saw the emails and they applied for the quiz, their new scores have been retained. So some people have written to us, hey, my score was this previously in quiz 7, but now it's reduced. That's because you retook a quiz, and because in the retest you scored less. Anyways, the wrong quiz was a wrong one ultimately, which was mistakenly again attached on quiz 7 for those 67 candidates by the Mercer Metal platform team. So there was nothing else that could be done in that case. We have given some grace marks, but there might be some issues in other quiz sections, or maybe overall you have any other concerns or issues till tomorrow afternoon. Please make sure that you kind of write to me and Himanshu. You can skip the third email, which is the drive_metal. Just write to me and Himanshu, and we'll look at your query and try to get back to you as soon as we can. Not much is going to change. I think the ranks might go up a little bit or down. Previously, the quiz 8 marks were missing altogether, so there were a lot of changes. But now with small changes, grace marks here and there, maybe we have missed something, maybe there was an error. There can always be exceptions. Please feel free to write to us. I have seen a few emails that have already come my way, which are not regarding quiz 7 or quiz 8. Please feel free to write to us, and we'll try to resolve it as soon as we can. And then we'll wait on that data until all of it is finalized, and then we'll create certificates from that. And all of you will get certificates. All the 18 candidates currently will get the certificate for qualifying phase 1. And will indicate your specific marks on an average, and kind of also tell what the smart protein digital lab, world's first smart protein digital lab really entailed, all the quizzes you've taken, etc. So we'll justify in the certificate all the effort you've put in so that you can use that certification later on. And while registering for our GFI India talent community, which is something we'll send you an invitation for after the 15th of November as well, you'll need to basically kind of just, you'll have an option to basically say that you have the Smart Protein Digital Lab certification last year's participants use. So that helps you differentiate with the employers who are seeking to recruit from the talent community as well. That's more relevant for students and probably researchers and scientists and industry professionals. But for everybody else, entrepreneurs, you'll be the ones who will be recommending, who will be basically filling up the request form to access that talent database, hopefully a couple of years or a year down the line. Or maybe even in the next few months if you are an existing startup. So that's how this community really works. That's why ISPIC is an integral part of the entire smart protein sector that we are trying to build in India. Yeah. Let's visit another question. I think there are no open questions. We'll be giving the recording. For track 2, yes, there are some marks. Basically, track 2 will not require a prototype in phase 1 and phase 2. Devika has already answered that. All of this is in FAQs, by the way, guys. So please go on the website and take a look at some of the FAQs as well and visit some of the sessions we did on RFPs and earlier sessions done by Nicole. All of this information has been covered at length in those. I know sometimes it might feel a lot to watch a recording for an hour. So that's why we put it on YouTube so that you can fast forward it. And try to skip sessions, see the areas which are relevant for you. I'll recommend to go through the whole thing on 1.25, 1.5x, but please make sure that you go through all of it. Again, all the resources from phase 1 would be available for you for the next few months till the end of the challenge for sure, but maybe till June, July. And then you'll also get access to phase 2 because you'll register on a separate event, just like you did for phase 1, right? And then in those phase 2 lab, there'll be a lot of other resources. There'll be these RFPs so that, basically before registering, you can take a look at everything and kind of decide before your team finally chooses a specific RFP. So that time of 3 days, just let me quickly show you this time when you're kind of decided on the team and registering on the platform is when basically you talk as a team, right? Maybe you set up a call, maybe you, I don't know, get on a WhatsApp group, whatever. Maybe you, DM each other on Slack or whatever works for you. And then as a team, you choose a specific RFP, which you cannot change, right? So then your track, technology area, and a specific RFP or a white space opportunity in case of track 2 are all set in stone for your team. And you cannot change that going forward for the remainder of the challenge, right? Which is quite important to note, which is why I'm stressing again and again on the fact. And later on, a lot of people will write to us, I have chosen a wrong team, I want to change it. All of those things are not possible once the journey starts, right? The only option for you would be to drop out of the challenge. And again, like if too many people, like out of 3, 2 people have dropped off, you won't be able to continue as an individual. So be careful, ask people who you're partnering up with, are they planning to continue with the whole journey if you get selected? Obviously, if you don't qualify phase 2, if your idea does not have merit, if proposal, 5-page proposal does not have merit, you won't qualify, right? And your journey will end there for the team. But if you go through the whole phases, is everybody committed to, going through to demo day, go through phase 4, and, sessions would change. So right now the sessions would be scientific in phase 2, because that's what quite fundamental for everybody, whether you're an entrepreneur or track 1 person, to understand about the sector. In phase 3, it'll be more kind of track 2 kind of, entrepreneurship, commercial kind of sessions, but it'll be quite helpful for people who are doing track 1 as well, because that gives you a rounded out perspective when you're trying to build out a larger proposal. So all of this has been strategically thought through in terms of how you'll be doing these things. And I see a candidate has popped onto this, so that's good. Great. Okay, so that's that from my side. Okay, I'm just gonna, somebody's asking me in the DM about the link. Here's the schedule. Here's the timeline. This was in the email. We'll be sharing a separate, timeline for phase 2 and phase 3 with you. So let me just delete these subsheets from this one. Great. So, oops. Just a second. All right, Devika, I think we can enable chat also now. for participants so that
Sure.
if anybody has any feedback or comments they can give in. If you have any questions, please keep using the Q&A button.
I think there's 2 more questions in the Q&A.
Yeah. So yeah, Arman, a good question, right? The MOOC is quite old. You know, some of the videos you saw currently are global MOOC, which is available on Canvas, which is a much less intensive kind of an exercise, is quite an old one at the same time, which is why we created a challenge, which is the most, latest information, more engaging, all of that. It's basically an automated thing that you get. That mood certificate has a different value compared to this. I think this is far more valuable, the ISPIC certification, in terms of the content, in terms of the hours spent, etc., all of that. So it's not a replacement. That's a different thing which you can get by watching a few videos and doing it. Again, we are completely revamping the overall global MOOC as well, and later on it'll tie up with the ISPIC challenge for next year or maybe year after that. For the time being, the ISPIC certification would hold probably more value, especially for the Indian context for you, Arman. I hope that answers your question. So that's answered. And then Mustafa. Yeah, so I mean, those are rare exceptions, right? If one person quits, right? Like somebody, usually this from last year, right? Somebody gets typhoid, somebody has some ailment, somebody, I was down for almost 3 weeks, right? At the start of phase 1. So those things happen, exigencies happen, and on a case by case basis, we'll be able to consider, but it shouldn't be a norm that your team members are quitting. We really want to see teams go through the entire journey, but for exceptional circumstances, you'll have to write to us, and all the team members will basically have to submit some sort of a document claiming what has exactly happened and why their team members leaving. So it's much better to kind of choose team which is not gonna, just fall apart in the middle of the challenge. All right, so those were the questions. Great. So I wanted to do this. Now we have 15 more minutes, right? And I wanted to actually hear from you guys. So currently, we just want to invite some people to share their experiences for phase 1 and how the journey has been so far. So just to recap before we start with that, I'm going to send you a matchmaking guide. I'm going to send you the next steps. The only thing that has happened is the matchmaking would have started tomorrow on Saturday to give you more time on the weekend. But unfortunately, because of the delay in results, we are waiting till tomorrow to hear back from all the participants. Create a final list, get all of you added into a Slack channel, which will help you with the matchmaking discovery and informal chats and all of that. And at the same time, we'll also get you added on the matchmaking tool from the backend, all your registered email IDs and your scores. And then based on the matchmaking guide instructions, and rewatch this webinar if you need to, the earlier 20 minutes, you'll basically create a team. You'll register that team on the Mercer Metal platform between 28th and 2nd of November. And then basically that will be a final team. You'll choose a RFP while registering. And then as a team, there'll be a primary member who coordinates both the matchmaking platform and the Mercer Metal tool. So usually the person who's creating a team, whose team you're joining, is the primary member on the matchmaking tool, right? And then that person is responsible by default then to basically register your team on the Mercer Metal platform. Your email IDs are already registered now on the platform. So they'll just have to send you an invite, just like on the matchmaking tool, and you'll be added into their team. And then as a team, you choose a RFP. And then as a team, you basically submit the solution for that RFP in a 5-page format. The 5-page, how many index pages, how many introduction pages, what font size, all of those details will be given to you. And you have to always keep in mind the evaluation criteria and the golden rule: price, taste, and convenience, and nutrition and sustainability as well as 4th and 5th, which are quite important for this sector, whether you're doing a scientific solution or a innovation solution. All right, great. So I actually want to invite few people. Can you raise your hands, people who are interested to share their experiences? So how to raise a hand? There's a raise hand feature on your dashboard. Now everybody uses Zoom, so everybody knows. We'll just invite you as a panelist. You don't have to switch on your video, but you can share. If you want to switch on your video, please feel free to switch on your video as well. And then we'll basically, okay, we have first one from Shreyasi. Hi, Shreyasi. I think you should be able to talk. So why don't you tell us about why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about where you're from, what background and experiences you have, and then basically tell a little bit about your experience in phase 1 of the challenge.
Hello, sir. I'm Shreyasi. I have a great experience by joining phase 1.
What did you basically enjoy?
Yeah, I learned a lot from phase 1. and hope to learn again from phase 2.
Wonderful. Great. Any specific technology area that you're kind of finalizing on after spending a month
Yeah,
studying?
yeah, I'm getting interested in plant-based seafood and thinking and finding my team. I'm in search of it. Hope to learn more,
Yeah, absolutely. We hope that you find a good
and
team partner.
thankful for GFI platform.
Great. No, that's great to hear. And thank you for your active participation. We've been seeing a lot of queries from you, so
Yeah,
it's good to see. Thank you. I'm gonna put you back in the attendees
thank you,
list.
sir.
Great. So Shruti. So Shruti, go on.
Hello, sir.
Same question
I'm
for you.
Shruti. Yeah, I'm Shruti from actually West Bengal. I'm pursuing my master's. My background is from fisheries. So I'm very much interested in agriculture sector, and I think this is the building block of future. This alternative protein. So without this world, there will be no more food. I think. So it's a very good technology. So I'm very much interested in phase one and learn.
Thank you, Sir Shruti. And I hope that, because you're interested in agriculture and coming with the fisheries background, using indigenous crops to work on plant-based seafood, in probably track one, if you don't have entrepreneurial aspirations, would be a good fit for you. So best of luck with your choice, and we'll basically move you back to attendees.
Thank you, sir.
Why don't we go with Arman next?
Sure,
Arman, just try to be a little bit more audible because we haven't been able to hear very clearly from the past couple of participants.
sure. Can you hear me now? Is it
Yeah,
better?
perfect. Yeah.
Sure. So, my name is Arman, and I'm a first year student pursuing chemistry at St. Stephen's. And I am most interested in particularly two sectors. So, first is the fermentation sector, primarily dealing with the biomass fermentation, because I also believe it's a very low hanging fruit. And the second sector, which I want to dive deep into, is the cultivated meat sector, but owing to the GM restrictions and other restrictions in the area, it's a very complicated field as of now, at least in India. But for that particular reason, I'm planning to understand the scientific principles behind the biomass fermentation so that I can eventually implement it as an entrepreneur some years down the line. So that's what my interest is, and thank you so much for providing all these resources, being so helpful throughout phase one, clearing doubts, holding webinars on a regular basis, and the experience was very nice.
That's wonderful, Arman. Great to hear. And I'm glad that you are taking this opportunity to connect with more people in similar areas and backgrounds. That was the intention. We won't be able to take many requests. We'll be able to do 5 or 6 till the time runs out. But basically, just to clarify, Arman, I think for track 1 and track 2, if you're not sure when your venture or commercial aspirations are going to come true, maybe you go for track 1 to understand the science of it and really become proficient at it in fermentation, right? But if you are sure that you want to start a company, and that's why you would choose probably track 2 entrepreneurship. So that's something I was just adding. You want to add anything to that, Arman?
Not really. I totally second your thought. It makes a lot of sense. Thanks.
Perfect, great. Can we invite somebody else as well? We still have 8 more minutes. Who else would like to talk? Kapil?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Kapil. Introduce yourself and let us know about your experience in phase 1.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I'm doing. I'm just on the verge of completing my MSc in Food Science and Technology from Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. So I have just left my project work because I'm just looking all around to see something new, what's happening, and how to utilize my own endeavor and knowledge in order to make some strong contribution towards the human society. So when I saw this GFI Smart Protein Challenge, so I think and take it as an opportunity for me to go forward to do something for the humanity. Like this animal agriculture is making lots of bad things toward our environment and in the whole world. So we should make and make people more encouraging towards what your own motive is. So I'm very much glad to be with you. And as far as my own interest is concerned, I'm very much interested to go for fermentation technology. And for the last many years, I'm just thinking about what how can utilize some microorganisms, with bacteria, fungi, to go for the production of bioactive components, mainly polypeptides or peptides, which we can use as an ingredient to enhance the nutrition security as well. So, like the corn from UK has utilized mycoprotein from fusarium. So I was very much inspired from their discovery and their work. So I also want to use such type of fungus or microorganism, be bacteria, and utilize it for their polypeptide or other types of fermentation ingredients. That's what I'm looking forward. So maybe I hope I will do something good and make
Absolutely.
everyone
Yeah.
proud. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great thoughts, Kapil. And I absolutely love that area of interest and technology area. I'm also quite bullish on the microbial and fungal side of things. The strategic fungi report that we have created would be shared in phase 2 again with you. So do take a look at that resource. It'll be quite valuable for you as you go on about this, if you have not already. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Kapil. We'll invite Koltum. I don't know if I'm saying that name correct. Koltum Sayed.
Yes, hi, Shardul. It's Kulsum. My spelling is kind of weird. Yeah, so it's fine. I'm a final year. Yeah, I'm a final year BTech student. I am currently pursuing my BTech in food technology from Delhi, Jamia Hamdard. And to be very frank, I have been fangirling over you for the past 1 year because I have been very closely following GFI and the very first Smart Protein Challenge 2020. And this was like the opportunity for me to participate. It has been a very insightful journey so far, and I'm very excited for the matchmaking week. For now, my priorities are to try and make a team in either the fermentation sector or the mycoprotein. We'll see what happens in the matchmaking week. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I think last year, a lot of participants from Jamia participated, I think 5-6 of them. And I think a couple of them actually made it to demo day. So quite exciting company you've got in your alumni. Maybe if I'm remembering it correct, there was somebody in C-Spire. So you can probably connect with them as well for the experience. And yeah, quite exciting to hear about your areas of interest. Best of luck for phase 2.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great. So we can go with one more if we wrap up real fast. Akshay, do you want to just promote somebody? Till then, I'll answer a couple of questions that we've received. What is the last date to make a team? I was showing you the timeline earlier, guys. So basically, once you have, we hope that a lot of you start. Let me just share my screen so that it's clear again for all of you. Okay. So 25th you start, 29th we hope that you have a team in place. Hopefully 60-70% of you have a team in place, and then you start registering your teams in these 3-4 days and having those team discussions, etc., etc. So absolute last date is 2nd of November to create a team on the matchmaking tool, and also to make sure that you have registered your team there. There might be a couple of days of gap here. Maybe we'll stop the matchmaking tool. I'll get back to you with the specific details, but we'll stop the matchmaking tool by 30 or 31st of this month, so that it still leaves a couple of days and we have all of the data from the matchmaking final, right? That what are the teams now, so that we can match it with the information we get from your registrations on the actual platform. So we'll give you a couple of days gap there. So let's just say 30 or 31st of October would be the absolute last date. I'll update it here and also send you more details in a follow-up email with the matchmaking guide on this. Yeah. There was another question. Yeah. So what will happen? So Shailendra, I'm assuming you are interested in phase in track 2, because in track 1 there's no need of a prototype or a lab. You're just doing a theoretical solution backed by literature and data and review. Can we pause? Yeah, thank you. So basically, if you're in track 2 and you're going in phase 3, the onus is on you. You you knew while signing up for the challenge there's some weightage for prototype, or in case of plant-based, or there's no need of a prototype in case of fermentation and cultivated in track 2, right? There's just data validation of sorts that they're looking for. Akshay, do you want to speak more to the data validation point?
Yeah, thanks, Shardul. Yeah, in terms of data validation, obviously, I mean, when you focus on fermentation and cultivated meat, fermentation probably, if you are able to find a lab, or if you know a lab that you know that your team will be working, then it's fine. But and the same applies for cultivated meat. But we don't expect that you come up with any lab-based, wet lab-based data validation at this point in time. What we are looking is, in terms of data validation, is how we exactly arrive at your conclusion in terms of your proposal, in terms of what kind of solution you're providing, what kind of literature supports your solution, and what kind of justification you have. So that is what matters at this point in time. I mean, if you are able to come up with, let's say, a very, very basic prototype, or I wouldn't say a proof of concept or something, but at least some preliminary data in a lab, that's great, because we really don't obviously expect you to do that. It's going to take time. It's going to take time for you to find a bioincubator. It's going to take time for you to find a lab, or put your team into work. It takes investment. It takes time and energy. So obviously, that's not something which we definitely are not expecting. Everything is going to be non-wet lab in terms of how well you put together your proposal, what kind of backup, like I said before, in terms of validating the proposal, and probably also what kind of advisors you have on your team, and how solid is your proposal. That's what matters at this point in time. Probably even until phase 4. I'm not talking about plant-based here. It's just fermentation and cultivated.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Akshay. I'm launching a poll, by the way, guys, just to know your feedback about how helpful the session was in terms of getting clarity on the next steps, on understanding the matchmaking platform, the RFPs, all of that. If you have any constructive feedback on what can be done better, always feel free to email me with anything that is not working for you in the challenge, and we'll try to look at how we can help you a little bit better in terms of going through this journey. You have to understand the constraints we face with the large volume of applications, a lot of queries coming in. Sometimes all of these technical errors means that it's delay of a lot of us. We constantly tell that we give recording, but there's always a question if you're going to give a recording. We always give a recording after every session. So make sure that you check the schedule sheet, and it'll be listed there in terms of just the recording on YouTube, and it'll be provided to you. I put it on Slack every time as well, once something shared in an email, so that it reaches to all of you. Great.
Shardul, if I can jump in here.
Yeah.
I see a few hands raised. I just wanted to see if anyone is working on targeted needs specifically, who has interest, would like to speak to it, because I think we have heard people talking about plant-based implementation. Just wanted to check, do a pulse check about participants who would like to jump into the cultivated meat space.
So you'll have to just tell in the chat that you're interested in what Akshay is saying, so that we can promote you. But till then, Aishwarya, do you want to quickly introduce yourself? She's been on the panel for quite some time.
Yeah, of course. So I just want to thank you all, and the experience was great for phase 1. I have actually done my MS in the field of biotechnology from a national institute in the year 2018. So the conceptual understanding was actually redefined due to this phase 1. And after that, I was also working in a biopharmaceutical sector as a research associate. And 2 years ago, I, along with my husband, who is a gold medalist in the field of natural products, we started our venture in cold pressed oil manufacturing. So we are not only manufacturing oils, but we are also doing a research and development in the same. And we are also working on the oil cake sector. I was actually proposed my idea in various entrepreneurial platforms like IIT and IIM, but I was actually looking for a specific platform who is working under food and nutrition sector, and I am so glad that I got this opportunity to be a part of GFI. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Aishwarya. Akshay, do you want to repeat your question? Akshay, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, just to put it simply, I just wanted to do a pulse check about entrepreneurs across teams across track 1 and track 2 who want to get into cultivated meat space. That's all.
Correct. So people interested in cultivated meat as a technology area. If somebody wants to speak up, could you please say in the chat?
I see Aditya said. I mean, I know he's interested in cultivated meat, but yeah,
Sure.
I mean,
Please, Yadida, go ahead.
Hello.
yes, Aditya, we can hear you.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir. Regarding this artificial meat, are there any labs starting working over here in India, especially? Like, for example, if I come up with some idea, is there any space like can I work on that?
Yes, there are a few labs which are working on cultivated meat specifically. One is based on CCMB. They have a research group which is working on cultivated meat. They also happen to have a bioincubator, which is called as the Atal Incubation Center, and they
Yes,
have all the infrastructure. But obviously, I mean, we need to have the capital investment if you want to enter into that space. So probably once, hopefully you clear track 1 or track 2, whichever you're participating in, probably should be applying to one of these big grants in the process. And we'll also be, making you familiar with some of these bioincubators throughout phase 2 and phase 3. And we'll also help you form your pitch and, present it to, let's say, investors at the end of the competition. But yeah, to put it in short, we have CCMB, Hyderabad, Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. We have a group at SGPGI, Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institute of Medical Sciences in Lucknow, which is also working in a very similar project. We have National Research Center for Meat, that's also in Hyderabad. They're coming up with a proposal, again in cultivated meat, which is confidential at this point in time. We have a team working on cultivated seafood at Central Institute of Fisheries Education. They also won a decently big grant very recently, and a public announcement of that is going to happen very soon. So we have like 4 labs exactly, which is working on cultivated meat or seafood. So depending on what's your ask and what kind of incubation facilities you're looking for, I mean, down the line, we're also happy to make introductions once your proposal qualifies through phase 2 and phase 3 and moves on.
yes, sir. And one more question, sir. For the 5-page proposal, you have given some criteria like solution, significance, rationale, economic and commercial feasibility. Do we have to consider all these things in the 5-page proposal?
Ideally, yes. We are not expecting you to get into a lot of detail because obviously it's a 5-page proposal. I think short and sweet, please stick to your point, be very specific, and then move into a 15 or 25-page proposal across track 1 and track 2 down in phase 3. I think that's when we expect a lot of more, let's say, material in your proposal, right? So right now, the idea is basically to see how participants or teams actually come up with a proposal in terms of validating, let's say, uh, a solution for a problem statement. And
Yes, sir.
we will just look at that in phase 2. And moving to phase 3, we'll be much more rigorous in terms of evaluation based on your scientific rigor and other stuff based on whichever track you are.
Yes, sir. And sir, small query. Sorry for multiple questions.
I think just quickly rounding up some of the questions, right? Yeah, that they will have expert speakers, scientists coming on for some of the webinars in phase 2 and phase 3. And as you go along the phases, I think I see a couple of questions about incubation facilities, etc. That's the whole point, right? Once you kind of qualify to phase 3 and phase 4, you'll be getting individual mentors, hopefully. And then, you have the demo day to kind of put the word out that you have been participant of the challenge, and then you'll be able to choose um, a relevant set of partners, bio incubators that are available in IITs, and perhaps also outside of the country, in other countries. So quite few exciting opportunities exist for a lot of these cultivated meat and fermentation kind of emerging categories as well. And I hope that you all avail, more from the challenge in the coming days. We'll have to move on to one more person. I think we can consider one given the excitement. Akshay and Devika, by the way, you can drop off. I'll just wrap up in 5-10 minutes.
Thank you, Shardul. All the best for all the participants. Hope to see you face to face soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Akshay. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts with the participants for phase 2. Great. Yeah, I'm just going to remove. If you have any further questions, please feel free to drop us a message.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Great. There's some interesting things going in the chat. Somebody's hiring, somebody's connecting with. So that's the whole point. You can do all of this on the Slack community as well. We have the water cooler section where you can basically talk a lot about these things and post any kind of help you might want. Again, it does not have to be help specific for the challenge, because that would be unfair, but you just have to connect with each other and share things with each other. And I think that's the whole point of creating that Slack community, so that you all have that informal kind of set of platforms available for you to engage with each other. Not just now, the Slack platforms going to be available for you for the coming few months as well, so that you are able to kind of go through it when you want. Excellent. So having said that, I see 5 hands still up. Let me quickly invite Boni. You wanted to say something? So I'm going to invite you.
Yes, thank you, sir. I completed. I'm Boni Yuna from Manipur, and I completed my MBA. So I'm currently working on a project and on a pilot scale or cultivating algae in Sperna, but I'm very much interested in this cultivated meat sector. So what are the programs or details that I can expect from this cultivated meat sector, particularly in India? It is currently emerging in the world. So what are the